Yo.
What's up? What's up? How are you?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, my people? It's good to see y'all, man.
Good to see you guys too. You know what's funny is, can you see the Facebook comments?
I can't. Let me see. Nope, not yet.
Because I think StreamYard, you cannot see the Facebook comments.
Let's see here. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone to see what type of shit is going on over here.
See, that's a good idea. David's got all the feedback from.
Hey, what is up?
I'm gonna do
Dave, what up, man?
Oh wait, I can't hear. I can't hear people. Wait.
Let's see. I'm gonna see.
I'm in the show, but I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, are you in a closet, man? It's bad dark. We gotta turn the lights off, fam. Come on, talk to me.
This is so weird. I can't hear nobody. Let's see.
I can hear you.
Just turned on closed caption because
yeah. I've got the. I can hear TJ. I can hear everybody.
Let's see, camera, audio. It has echo cancellation. All right, you can hear me. That's really weird that I can't.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Okay. I can just like read everyone's
so you can't
lips then, I guess.
David, you can't hear me or TJ?
Are you saying?
You can't hear us?
You can hear me.
Oh wait, maybe. Hold on. I don't know.
What's up, Puff?
I have the
Puff. What's going on?
Let me see.
So we can basically on StreamYard, we can see the YouTube comments, but we can't see Facebook comments. So I've pulled up Facebook on my phone. What's up, everybody in the chat? If you're watching from Facebook or you're watching from YouTube, David just got here, and I put him in the middle room, and there's no.
It's weird. It really is weird. Like I don't know why it's doing this.
There's no light in there. There's not great lighting, but you should be able to. You can't hear. So you can't hear TJ.
I can't like. Let me see.
You can't hear me at all.
I'm gonna click on the having issues thing.
Because we can hear you, TJ and I can hear you fine. We can hear each other, no problem.
Yeah.
And so if we can't see any Facebook comments, so I pull that up on my phone. But everyone in the chat, just first off, huge thank you for the success of the Kickstarter. It's absolutely crazy. We've really smashed some serious goals thanks to you guys, and also to David and TJ and all the people that have shown Stranger Comics so much love, over the course of this 30-day campaign, and even before, leading up to it, you guys did a lot of pre-promotion before we even got started, and I feel like I've got to give David another light, man. David, when do you get? If you want, bro, come in here and grab like a light, bro, like.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy.
Are you in? Is he in your house?
Yeah, he's in my house right now. Yeah.
David, come on down. Dun, 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 dun.
That's awesome. Coming in, we've got
Yo, this shit is funny. I could have sworn I was in a separate space, man. You live in the same house.
No,
it's David, in the same.
Look, it's like it's going meta here.
I'll go in, everybody.
If you want, bro, you can just pull up. You could cancel your. Oh no, but then you. See,
yeah, it's weird. Look, see.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Oh no, I can't hear you.
But I can hear me coming through the speaker. Through yours. Yeah, maybe turn this off real quick.
Hold on, I'm gonna go back.
Go back and then you can grab his light phone. It's like when you come back.
I can't. Oh, sorry, everyone.
I love it. This is so meta.
Yeah. How many comic artists does it take to get a Zoom right? Yo, takes at least 3, maybe 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying?
Takes 3. So, all right, I'm gonna.
If you want, pop your computer back, and then we can just come and grab one of these things and just plug it in, so you've got more light back there.
What type of foods Sebastian got in his fridge, David?
If you want, pop your computer back, and then we can just come and grab one of these things and plug it in, so you've got more light back there.
What type of foods?
David, everyone could hear you in the chat.
Oh yeah, I can hear. I know that, but like I couldn't hear you.
That's so weird. That's so
on
weird.
that side.
That's so strange. If you want, you can unplug that or unplug that light.
I'll take.
Yeah, either or, bro. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, awesome. It's awesome. So, TJ.
Yes.
How's it going on your end, bro?
I'm good, man. I wish I could be there at this whole. The party is at Sebastian's house, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't understand what time it is, Sebastian's got a full fridge of food. He's got beers, 40s. He's got everything. Which y'all need, he's got it.
It's definitely 40s. It's so absurd. We're up to 41. It's crazy. You know, we're just being very English here. No, it's nutty, everybody. So yeah, huge thanks to everyone that supported the Kickstarter. For folks in the chat on YouTube or on Facebook, just as a heads up, we just put in for the final night, like really kind of cool discount deals on like video game variant sets.
Oh, incredible.
So you can get all the add-ons on the Kickstarter. So any stuff from the vaults that you think you might want, they might be on the Kickstarter as add-ons right now.
Yeah. Everybody's watching. This is such a fire idea. This whole video game variant thing. I'm hella inspired. Like I want to do some video game shit now. I mean, seriously. Like,
well, you know, it's funny. It's like we talked about this the other day. On Tyler's show, who do Godhood Comics, and shout out to Godhood Comics for having us on. What we realized a way back was, you know, essentially when you have a celebrity, you know, a lot of people kind of fall in love with celebrities and kind of forget that it impacted them at a certain kind of time in their life where they had emotional connection. You know, like you watch a movie and then it sparks an emotional response, so you connect, right? So like a lot of times I think these homages that we do, like the video game homages to the hip hop homages, it sparks that nostalgia in more than like, oh, that's just cool. But we remember the time where we had our first kiss, we had our, you know, first fight, our first time we heard the record with our friends, you know, and everything kind of takes us back. So it hits that emotional nerve. And so when we did the hip hop variants, and shout out to Tribe Called Quest because it was the Low End Theory's birthday yesterday.
That's right.
In the room, but we ended up obviously doing, you know, the Tribe Called Quest Midnight Marauders. We did the Biggie Smalls. These are also still, guys, you can get these on sets. You can get the hip hop sets on the Kickstarter. So if you go to the Niobe Kickstarter, you can also now get the DMX metal editions, all sorts of fun stuff. Like, look at that. But these kind of things, they resonate, right? I mean, that's the whole thing when you talk about hip hop, but you also talk about video games. It's the same kind of emotional thing. Like, oh, you remember when you were X playing Donkey Kong with your friends. And it's like the most joyous time, right? So it just brings back joy. It brings back fun. What's up, Amber? What's up, Derek and Abel on Facebook? Same with Mario Kart. I mean, everyone, how much fun did we have playing Mario Kart? So automatically, it puts a smile on your face, right? It's that vibe. Same with Altered Beast. And then what you do is same with Zelda, of course. So what you do is not only do you have a video game variant package, you also, for the collectors, they're more rare, and they're your comics. You got first appearances and second appearances, and now it's like, and your collector's like, well, I've got one of these bad boys, so now I need to have all of the video game sets to complete my set. So with the new campaign, what we did was we had for the new one for Morkamo, we had Excite Bike.
Killer.
So we did the Excite Beast. So for fans that still want to get jump on the campaign, we have, you know, just over 12 hours to go before this bad boy ends. You can get all this stuff. And the same for what we did with Ashley when we did the Sailor Moon cover. And she absolutely rock this.
Yeah.
that's an amazing cover.
So shout out to Ashley. And this is so you start to tie in stuff, right? You start to tie in these kind of realities of saying, okay, folks that are into homages, like David Walker and his crew at Bitterroot, they do beautiful homages too. I see yours, TJ, too, is you know, it's great stuff. But you start to kind of dig into things that really hit emotional weight and resonance within different genres that people are fiends for, you know, like 8-bit players, you know, 16-bit players and so on, hip hop heads and so on. And it doesn't feel like it stretches too far out of what the realm of your brand of culture is, right? Because otherwise I think it can get a little like, oh, you know, you're just kind of like jamming something in, like, oh, this could work, you know, but it has no necessary kind of like overall brand, you know, thread.
Yeah, those I think anybody, when you're picking up something vintage, something nostalgic, and it's tastefully done. I think that's the beautiful part about anything that Stranger Comics has done. I mean, you see those what is it called, the Wolverine Hulk, you know, first appearance variant, which is like one of my favorite covers of all time. Yeah, I mean, just killer, you know what I'm saying? Like, so well done, so like tasteful. The logo design, the graphic design, everything about it is really, really well done. So I'm constantly impressed, but this type of stuff is really fire. So fire to me. So people grab this while you can. Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I realized, like, I haven't even, like, I should have a ticker along here and all that kind of stuff. I'm so not prepared. It's awesome. So what I'm going to do in real time is just do this. If people want to go to the Kickstarter, easiest way to do it, honestly, is you can
drop a link in the bio or something, or
you can just go to strangercomics.com, and literally the first banner you see, you can click and it'll take you to the Kickstarter page. And that's the easiest way to find it. Look, and me putting that up, it literally just blocks out your names.
Yes, actually, I have a question, Mr. Sebastian. So, is it okay if I show this?
Yeah, show whatever you want, bro. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know what you're going to show, but yeah.
So this awesome thing right here. So when you're talking to an artist and you're pitching them a cover to draw for you for a commission, like what do you say? Do you say like, hey, like, okay, it's a DMX thing, but I want you to use my character as a substitute? Like, what is the communication like when you're collaborating with an artist, when you're doing all these amazing covers?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much, you know, just basically you find the album, or you find the video game cover, you find the kind of the thing that you want, and depending on the cover that it is, like specifically with that DMX one, you know, we just felt like we wanted to make sure we, you know, honored him, and you know, it was just such a, you know, I always loved how vulnerable, you know, how he wore his heart on his sleeve, and it was like, okay, you know, sometimes I feel like some hip hop homages, when they come, it's like, oh, it's too soon, or, you know, like it's a little sensitive. But it had such an impact with not just his music, but when I heard his interviews, it's like, oh, he dares to be vulnerable, which I think is a true mark of a hero, and someone you can kind of relate to at the same time. So when I speak to an artist, we look at the album covers, we see, okay, what seems like it's going to hold weight, and it's going to resonate with the kind of the storyline, and the one obviously where he's all bloody, and you know, and in that pose, it felt very familiar. It did feel like there was a similarity to this particular kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So when we have that kind of vibe, it's like, oh, okay, snap. Then it feels right. Then it feels like, okay, there's an honest connection there. So you pick the album cover, and then we have an honest conversation with the artist. Say, okay, we'd like you to get as close as possible to the pose. And in this case, this is James Corey Webster, who did the Dusu comic book. And doing the Dusu comic book, you know, he's a master painter. He's absolutely phenomenal. So it was, and because the DMX cover, it was so graphic, I wanted that particular piece to be an artist like Corey who could render it and make it feel like it's just going to pop. And the other thing too with that particular cover, the DMX one, we knew it could then translate onto the metals and the foils, right?
Yeah.
And also because it's so stark, it creates this wonderful kind of graphic. So he just pops, and the character, you know, goes from, which I think is very DMXy and cool. Like he goes from this to he gets blighted out and becomes like a a savage.
Yeah.
So then you get the collector's sets of the metals, the golds, the silvers, the black background, the white background. Now, what I also loved about that cover is because both the DMX album had a black background or a white background. So it's like, oh, I get to do both too and create different kind of collector versions for the folks that want all the specifics.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. Even like with the hip hop one too. It was like, you know, with the Biggie, it was, the irony was the cosplayer,
Candy, yeah.
Candy, yeah, she had won a whole bunch of our kind of like Niobe cosplay competitions, and her husband took these photographs of her, and then when we did the Biggie one, we were like, oh, cool, let's have her daughter be, you know, so it keeps it in the family, and it feels like the Stranger Comics family is strong. It feels like, you know, we're a, you know, it's family, you know, and that I think helps elevate your brand of culture and unity, and it doesn't just feel like, oh, that's a one-off, or oh, they're just doing this for clout, or oh, they're just doing this for this. No, this is, you know, like those albums specifically to me also had real weight, you know.
Yeah, the Lauryn Hill one is my favorite. That's my favorite one. Like, yeah, so far,
Raheem did it, man.
Like, I thought that was like perfectly well done.
Killer.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I like loved that.
So yeah, we, you know, it's a great. So talking about what your question was, so even with the Lauren one, you know, you had a couple of different options because it's stencil, right? The Lauren one essentially. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to do stencil because it felt like so exact. Mm-hmm. So taking it one step removed from stencil, I wanted, and Raheem being a master painter, so we literally had Soleil, the young model and actress, pose in Lauren's pose exactly. Had her mum take a photo, send me the photo, knocked it out, send it over to Raheem, and him to literally paint as close as possible to the expression of Soleil posing in that same wistful, you know, off in the clouds kind of, you know, for, you know, like whatever's going on in her mind, get as close to that as possible. And then instead of the pencil, have the quill, right? The feather. But that feather, when you guys get the comic book, this feather has emotional weight and significance when you read the book. So then the feather has real meaning to Niobe. So you try and kind of like layer it as much as possible. So it's not like, oh, dope, Lauryn Hill cover. And that's how it is in the beginning. You read the book and you're like, oh shit, there's a reason there's a feather in here too. Like even with Erica, right? Like, so I'm a huge Erica Lauren fan too. And like, we haven't done the ladies yet. And these were the queens of the 90s, right? To me. And so Dura, this character, is the ancient of the butterfly. So, you know, she
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. It all fits organically. And then for fans that then pick up Dura and start to get to know about her more, you go to the first page of Dusu, and we didn't even show or reveal that she was the ancient of the butterfly, but she's narrating the Dusu book, right? First appearances in Dusu for collectors. And there's a caterpillar on the first page. And she's talking about the evolution of what it is, the journey of life. So this is some shit where we planned well over a decade ago to tie in.
Wow.
So to the butterfly, to the evolution of Dura, and then finally Dura gets her own comic book. And then like, oh shit, this fits perfectly with the Erica cover. So the whole thing kind of it's just one. It's just it feels seamless and feels like feels kind of cool.
Awesome. I like it.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I mean, shoot, I mean, you're talking about years and years of planning, strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like literally building a universe on so many different levels. And I think maybe you could even tell us or tell everybody who's watching, like, what does it really take, or how do you start to world build in your head and then
Yeah.
eventually put that on paper or put it somewhere that it can live, and then you can eventually, have it grow branches and stuff, and then keep evolving from there.
Yeah, I think when it comes to world building, it can be daunting, right? It feels like there's this ocean and you're stuck in this, like, okay, all right, you're on the beach. This is a giant ocean and you want to create and build worlds and worlds and so on. And I think sometimes there's no right or wrong answer. There is just, you can start for a day and say, I want to create a story or a character or a song or a poem, and start to build around what that might look or feel or smell or taste like. So for me, like, I think when I go back to when I was young, I was playing a lot of D&D, so it was forced upon the creation was forced upon it to happen. It's like, oh shit, folks are showing up. They gotta create a storyline, gotta create an adventure, and so I think that forced that reality to happen. But I think when you're getting like Tolkien, I mean, Tolkien obviously is the master, and he built a world around languages. You build a language. How does that sound like? I honestly think there's no right or wrong. But what I do think is overwhelming for folks is to feel like you've got to do it all, and you've got to start massive. You've got to start with, okay, well, shit, I've got to figure out what this kingdom is doing here, and who's the king, and I've got to figure out this queendom here, and who's the queen. I've got to figure out this geography, and suddenly it's like, okay. And then, oh shit, what about in the ocean? Do people, who lives there? I think it can start to be very heady. You can kind of get in your own way. So for me, I think, like, when we started with the Untamed storyline, that was just distilled down into a spaghetti western town, a one-horse town. And then it became easy to tell the story. I think if I was to give any advice on world building, is distill something down into something that feels that you can live and experience within it, whether it's a one-horse town, whether it's a dungeon, whether it's a forest or the plains or the backwoods of Alabama. Like, what you feel like it feels authentic, it feels lived in. And then within that, then you can start to color it with sounds. What is the rhythm of the music sound like? What's the frequency of spirit? What is all these various things? And then your characters then start to really become alive. And then you can put yourself within their various shoes and see the world, their insular world, with very honest eyes, like whatever that case may be. And then these characters start to feel real. And then you're like, oh shit, I want these characters, like, let's say they're in Alabama. Now, I wonder what that character who's had this insular experience in Alabama, what is it like when she or they get on a train for the first time, or get on a plane or a boat and go to New York City? What is that like for them? So I think if you can color your world, color your character's world, and make it feel honest, then you can go and explore other landscapes with them. Because, okay, we've got this giant fantasy world of Asunder, but I haven't explored it all. My whole goal, honestly, like Daryl, he creates a lot within the world of Asunder, lots and lots. And we feel like we're scratching the surface to be when I die, I want other people to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to explore this region now. Like Arya at the end of Game of Thrones. What's west of Westeros? Who knows? You know, like it. But whatever that landscape is where we go to, it's got to feel lived in, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah, the world building is always something that I like to ask other creators about, because it's such there's so many different ways, just like you said, to do it, as long as you are, you know, creating and
Right.
putting these things out there. And then obviously, if you were walking in this character's path every single day, how does it feel? You know what I'm saying? And then putting that into each story, it's really powerful stuff. So thank you. Yeah.
How about you guys?
World building. I don't know. I kind of like. Well, first, because with Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, we're dealing with vampires, demons, and all that lore. So since it's been done like a million times, for me, I need to find something that makes characters quirky in a way. So just kind of researching what's been done, and then how do I feel about it? Like, and also trying to, I like to put humor in my book, like there's a sequence where, there's a bounty on Harriet Tubman's head. And basically these werewolves are trying to track Harriet Tubman down to get this money, basically. And when Harriet like beats them up, and she's questioning one of them, and just like, it's like, you're werewolves. Why do you need money to turn me in? And they're just like, for land and like for equity. We're not savages. We're not stupid. Like just trying to like just find like what you said before, like just the emotional part of it. Yeah. That just makes them relatable. Like, okay, why does a werewolf need money? Like they're not werewolfing 24/7. And just like figuring out those questions, and again, just really doing a deep dive in like the genre and what's been done, and then finding out like who I am within that, and how would I like react to certain things. And I think we all can like attest when we're writing, we're kind of like, when you're writing, and I think everyone here can attest to it, is that you're also discovering it too. Like you're creating it, but you're like, oh wait, like, yeah, that's how I have a point of view and opinion about about this particular thing that's been done before. And it feels cool. Like I'm gonna kind of own this part of it, and just kind of defining it and redefining it. So hope. What about you, TJ?
That's yeah, first of all, like I said, that was really cool. I definitely enjoyed hearing your perspective on that, David. Man, world building for me, especially with my first story, Okemos, it is a story that I came up with it in high school, and I'm a huge time travel, sci-fi, old Knights of the Old Republic, like the old like Berserk is one of my favorite animes of all, mangas of all time. So I was so influenced by so many different things of the 90s that I'm like, man, I'd like to create something in that vein, but I really want to do it differently and do it my take, very much like what David was saying, that a take that is kind of fresh and unique and kind of new. And as I was writing the book, it's like, okay, well, what time period am I setting it in? Okay, so I'm setting it in this year's time period. So all the politics, all the things that are happening in our time period affects how the character looks at life. But then he's also discovering himself and why he has this genetic ability that allows him to transform when he's under duress. So there's lots of other kind of hidden meanings I have in there too about, police brutality and, the oppression of our people that I kind of slide in. And a lot of people don't even notice, because it's not like I'm hitting you over the head with it. It's very much like a subtle thing. So while doing that, like I find myself building a world around what I would like to ideally see in the future. So then I start thinking about future stories and then future timelines. And because we have these group of time travelers, these guys called the Hunters, they look like heroes, but they're actually villains. I got one of them on my shirt actually. And it's like, when you have four powerful individuals that come back into the past and they start just kind of wrecking shit and cause all kinds of problems, what does it look like for the future? And then I like to explore this idea of, in multiple timelines, and then to me, the story ideas just kind of like start popping up here and there and there. And then I'm like, okay, which one would be cool? Which one would be more exciting? Which one I could see, collaborations with? Like, I'm always kind of trying to let the story guide me as I'm writing it, be like a servant of the story, because I feel like these creations, because of how much time we've spent thinking about them, they've become their own entity. They become alive in a certain way. So it's almost like, hey, now that you're alive and you've got your own life, guide me as to where you think I should take you as your creator. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take their hand, and then they'll walk me through to the next step. So it's like taking a leap of faith on a lot of the world building, and just like, how do I make cool shit, man? Like, I want to make something cool today. Like, I want to do something cool with these characters. Like, as if I was that character, how could I make it cool? How can I include some more folks? And editorial, I've been getting into more, editorial feedback from, my editor and more people that are reading some of the stuff. So it's just also bringing up people you can trust, that you can know that, hey,
Right.
they love the stories like you love them, and they see potential in them, because each story resonates and hits with different people. So when you're getting those right people, it's like the energy continues to kind of blossom and flourish, with each thing that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find like, TJ, like with your time travel, you touched on it earlier, which is the idea of making the world that you want to see, right? Because it's something that I've been I get asked a lot, right? Why do you create Niobe, yada yada, and I think when I really think about Niobe, I essentially say, she's kind of this weeping Buddha, in the sense that I can put all of my fears and inhibitions and my vulnerabilities on her winged shoulders, and essentially I want her to make this fantasy world, we're creating, a better place. And if she can do that within the fantasy world, maybe someone that reads it can then be inspired to make our world a better place, which is highly idealistic and naive. But that's something that I think I like, it's the wishful thinking within. Yet on that journey, there's a lot of falling down and getting your knee scraped and not wanting to do it, and wanting to hide, and not wanting to face the world, and not wanting to face your destiny, which I think anyone can kind of relate to, in the sense that when you leave school, or even when you're at school, you got to get certain grades. When you leave school, you go to college. You leave college, you got to get a certain job. You got to get there are all these kinds of you've got tos. And then at what age do you stop dreaming? And what age do you go, okay, well, I wanted to do this. I want to do this, but I have to do that. And I think that's at least that's been, I think, the reality of the journey for Niobe and her thing. There's a passage, from the She Is Death book, and it's here. I'll read it. She said, she goes, she's hearing basically voices in her head, right? And she said, we have to go back. I felt someone calling out to me. He says, you need the fairy to help shield your mind. The red hand will always reach for you, Niobe. And she says, it was no god. Not even my mother speaks to me anymore, meaning the goddess of light. I felt it, Yorick, a voice on the other side of the world, my name on her lips like music. I cradled the voice and let her in. It was beautiful and brave. It was sorrow and joy. And Yorick says, it was worship. And she says, I don't want that. People's praise. And the other character says, who would, but for kings and other such devils? So it's to kind of essentially say, if you are someone that, wants the praise, you want the adulation, you want all this glory, that's the person that's essentially not the hero, right? It's the person that's the hero is the one that doesn't want to hear any of that. And this is from this page, this series right here, which is from the
Beautiful work.
So shout out to Daryl and Sheldon for rocking the art. Yeah, but that's kind of I think that's kind of like the reality of those types of hero their journey as we allow them to. I think that's why Jon Snow was kind of the obvious choice of character, because the guy didn't want to be king. It's like, oh, the king of the north, I don't want that shit. Oh, you're gonna be the now the leader of this. I don't want that either. I just want to be a but that's what makes him the hero that is innately a leader. So yeah, those are the things that we kind of dig into with Niobe's journey. And then at what point in those hero's journey, and I think it's going to be interesting to see with your characters, obviously Dave with Harriet, to say, okay, like she's obviously a pretty badass from the jump that we experience her in. Are there moments to dance back in time where there was this kind of questioning and the why me, outside, obviously we have the historical context that we can draw from as much as possible. But for Niobe, it's going to be like, there is going to be a definitive time, or is it a moment, or is it an action that makes us suddenly go, all right, I have to be the person. I mean, I know what it is, but it's like, is there, you know what I mean? Like, I always find that interesting when you read heroes, you read characters and so on, like in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I started Stranger Comics with the guys because other comic companies we had pitched were not wanting to honor the story and the integrity of the characters that we were creating.
Yeah.
That was a massive watershed, pivotal point in my life and the rest of the guys, because they were like, it very much felt like, apart from one or two guys that were really, really cool and nice, but there's a lot of, we want to make this because this looks good during Black History Month announcement time, and then some other things that just didn't sit right. So thank you to those not very nice people, because without them there wouldn't be Stranger Comics, and we wouldn't want to protect the integrity of Niobe's journey and the spirit of who she is. And also, as we're growing as people, right, as we're evolving as writers, and we're growing with our characters.
Yeah. So
those are happy surprises as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see with your guys' work, like with your characters, like what are their watershed moments? What are their, like, oh, the first time, it's like, I always think like this with characters, and I'll throw it over to you guys, like, what moments impacted me in my life, right? Was it my first punch up, the first time I kissed a girl, or the most significant time, or my first time I got my heart ripped out, by a girl, or the dramatic move from England to America, but significant, like an actual moment, not just the grand scheme of like, oh, the big move to America, like moments that impacted me, that essentially affected me forever. And I can see that in the work that's reflected. The work is reflected in those moments. Then I say, okay, with Niobe and the Stranger and various other characters, what are these significant moments that are the reasons why they are the way they are? And then do we allow them to change, right? And then are we allowed to forgive them? Are we allowed to say, okay, they're doing X, Y, and Z, and when they make a mistake, and it's a savage mistake, are we then allowed to forgive our characters? Especially now when everyone's just throwing like, oh, fuck that, cancel culture has got its good and its bad and it's ugly, but are we allowed to forgive other people for making a mistake? And then are we allowed to forgive ourselves? And if we can't forgive other people, then how do we expect anyone to forgive us? And then how do we forgive ourselves? And how do we allow these? Can we do the same with our characters? So can we allow them to fall in such a way that we can say, okay, we can now lift you back up. We can give you this opportunity to be better. That's essentially kind of the reality of the stranger, right? Like, I'll just say one other thing is, the stranger is really a reflection of what I believe we all go through. We all want a second chance. And so for me, with the Untamed, where you first meet Niobe in the first storyline, the first book, the whole idea was really about, can you find redemption? And if and what are you willing to do to find redemption, right? What's up, David? Are you willing to make a deal with the devil to find the redemption? Are you willing? How far are you willing to go to heal whatever sin, whatever wrong that you've done? And then can you forgive yourself once you've done that? So that really was those kind of moments for the stranger. And then are you blind? Are you so blind to be like, okay, I need this thing that Niobe reflects or represents conscience. So if anyone in the chat is reading, if you read the Untamed, the Sinner's Prayer again, the first thing was born out of a poem. The poem is, the hand that paints the face that laughs borrows sorrow from my past. Fools in red have lain to bed. Her smile, my name, our whisper. The Untamed's first ever thing was built around a poem, and then rocking my newborn to sleep and writing, I'm a bad man, I've got 7 days to do for 7 souls and so on. What's up, Fan and Terry and everyone in the chat? So that was really born out of this need for my own redemption, right? I'm getting older. Can I be a better man? Shit. Maybe I don't deserve to be a better man. So I was pouring all of these, this emotional weight onto the stranger, and then allowing him in this cool Toshiro Mifune, Clint Eastwood, spaghetti western, Yojimbo kind of vein, like, oh yeah, he's a bad motherfucker, and he's coming back for vengeance. So on the surface, he's bad motherfucker. He's coming back for vengeance, made a deal with the devil. He's going to get his family saved, and yada yada, right? And all this shit, but really he's just broken underneath, and he's just trying to find his family. He's just trying to see if he can earn their forgiveness because he can't give it to himself. And this little girl is like, you're human. I'm going to represent your conscience. I'm going to represent the opportunity, not only for redemption, but maybe even salvation. And in finding that, that's the only way you can be with your family. You have to be able to forgive yourself. You have to be able to, and own your mistakes and not hide behind them. And, and being a badass isn't everything. It's maybe not that really important at all. It's just, it makes you a surface motherfucker, right? So that's really the journey of Stranger and Niobe. The concept is, as they grow on this journey together, and that's also in the Kickstarter, the new Untamed series, he's going to teach her how to kill, while she's going to teach him humanity. So, and the more he teaches her how to kill to survive, because she's not the chosen one, she's actually just another Jedi type, but everyone just types her up as a chosen one, and then she's going to find out, like, yo, there's other chosen ones. Oh fuck, like, yeah, dude, there's been other ones before, and there's other ones out there. You ain't the chosen one. We're just in this pocket of the world, like how it is with religion. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but it's like, yo, over here, our prophets are our angels. Well, that's the chosen one. That's we got this right, and everyone's like, then on the other side, no, but no, you don't. Ours is so we're going to find all these layers as to what Niobe is, and the more she believes that she might be the chosen one, then vanity can come in, and then you can stumble and fall real quick, right? But and also learning how to kill and fight and murder and so on brings her closer to the dark side of the Force, while she's teaching the stranger humanity. So the teachers become flipped on both sides. That's the kind of the evolution of where we're taking the Untamed and Niobe. Anyway, I was on such a ramble there.
Thank you for sharing. There's something that, like, I think I heard. I think it was Robert Kirkman.
Dave, what happened? Yo, I was gonna quickly say, Ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian audiobooks are coming soon. This cat is he's gonna put you to sleep. He's gonna get you motivated. He's gonna do all of that. Just hit the pay button. Hit the pay button. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like soothing, man. You know what I'm saying? But all jokes aside, really, really powerful stuff, man. We're talking about depth of character and solving, the riddle of life, you know what I'm saying? Within our characters, like our characters are become the teachers, you know what I'm saying? Because like they are going through so many things as we create them, you know what I'm saying? And as you're like you say, you're putting this on to the stranger. How will the stranger deal with this? And like I said, the character ends up teaching us about life, which is pretty powerful stuff, man. Because again, like it's who knew that it could be that powerful. And I want to say something too, that young kids that look like us that are, rewind the tape 20, 30 years ago, and there wasn't these types of stories available that they could really relate to. I think now that there's so many lives that are going to be changed. There's so many people who are going to have that creative spark for art, for comics, for storytelling at such a younger age, that it's going to be changing the entire, like we're literally changing the future with the work that we do, and not with any ego, but with the love of the medium. It changes the future for those younger people.
I think you touched on something really, really important. I remember speaking to this young lady, she's 17, and we were talking about the state of music, right? And she's like, it's not about music, it's about who's the most popular. And so I think when you look across the board in different mediums, whether it's TV or comic books or music or whatever, what are we doing this for, right? Are we doing this because we want to honor the medium, or in our own intention, what is our own intention, the spirit of who we are? What are we trying to convey, and for what reasons, and honoring the craft that we're in? So when we are talking about paving the way for young folks and doing those types of things, and I think too, not just young people, because I think people in their 30s and 40s are now, with this whole social media stuff, get very trapped. It's very easy to be like, oh shit, I'm 40 now, what the fuck? Oh, look at these young folks coming up, and everyone's like, oh look, I'm great, and you're like, oh shit, I'm like getting a bit saggy, like all these insecurities start layering in, and it's an easy trap. The trap is popularity. It's like going, like, how many people are viewing? Only 7. Oh shit, I guess I got, status, right? It's like a line outside a nightclub. No one's in the fucking nightclub. No one cares. But I'm going to build that line outside. So you think there's something more than what's actually in there, right?
That Studio 54, that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of like that kind of it is that reality, right? So as we create, we can have a nice piece of artwork. Shout out to Hyung and so on for these wonderful images. And this is what brings you in. This is the nightclub, right? The line outside, and this is beautiful. And it is love at first sight. But then you've got to hopefully then bring the weight. And I believe at least for me, there is a weight of responsibility to honor the medium and the material and the type of material that you're putting forth. You're not really doing it for an extra like, but you also have to understand that there's a business, so you got to get paid in order to put more shit out. To that, and then how, like, without also sounding like preachy, like, oh, like I remember some dude reading my shit and was like, he read one of my books, he was like, this dude's really melodramatic. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yes, that's true. It just might not be for you, not that particular comic, because we can always just give you Ruining Christmas, look at that,
Oh man,
that's not melodramatic, that's your MF Doom Batman double homage right there.
Killer. I'm gonna say, David's back, ladies and gentlemen. David was in the middle of dropping some knowledge. Do it, David.
Don't get a MacBook Air and then be on StreamYard. No, like, that's true. When someone tells you the truth about your comic, Sebastian, like that's the thing. There was an editor, I won't say where, but they passed on Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, and I think the critique was this this grown woman said to me, my comic book had too much action and it was too much fun to read.
Too much fun. Who are these people, bro?
He's like, listen, I read the book and like it was just really funny. And it was just lots of action. Like there wasn't character development. Like what's happening? Like, but it was so fun to read though. And like she knew that it was the book where slavery was in the background. Because she was just like, how come no one's being whipped? I think there was literally like that stuff happening. And I'm just like, uh-huh. I was like, yeah. And I think I talked to you. You were like, I think you should start your own company.
Yeah.
I called you. You were like, yeah, I think it's time.
But that's so real, man. It's like, it's the same with us, shopping. You shop these ideas around, and you want to protect the integrity of the story that you want to tell. Otherwise, it's like, how long do you wait for someone else to tell your story? Because I mean, I'm sure people in the chat and we've experienced it. Most people experience it like, oh shit, I had that idea, but it's yours, and it's unique. Like with David, it's like it's uniquely yours, and you make it your own. And I think, and obviously yours is so sensitive to a lot of folks because it's a historical person and so on. So they have their own ideology of like what it should feel like or be like, and you're like. What I love about Harriet is it turns everything on its head. It's it's fucking awesome. It's so pulp and rad and fun and irreverent and clever, and there are layers within. I just don't think people have the patience to also read. Not people, some people, right? Have the patience to read, like they go, oh. Harriet Tubman and werewolves, okay. And if they're reading surface, because it is lots of fun. If you're not giving the writer the opportunity to be like, yo, there's actually some really interesting levels within the storyline, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And I think most motherfuckers are just like that now, like because they're too busy also on Snapchat with a TV on, listening to music, reading a comic book.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember the days where there was no social media, there was nothing? So if you read a book, you just read a book and maybe you've got some music on, but with no words, otherwise you can't pay attention. Now everyone
all the way in.
Now everyone can multitask, but no one's reading or listening or like, the amount of posts that I've done for this Kickstarter has been a lot. And the amount of times people have said in the comments, where can I get this? And it's like, it's in the post. Here's the link again. That was
link in bio.
But here's something really crazy, and this is a sensitive one, but it's I talk about it. So I did a post on Afropunk, right? So I wrote this article for Afropunk like 3 years ago, I think it was now, and it was literally, the story was how I created Niobe and the World of Sunder and the journey of it. I think, and if anyone hasn't read it, it's a really good read. I think I did a really good job. I felt very proud of myself. And
let's go.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was good. It was good. It was. I was using word like cellular religion and who is God. I was being really preachy. Anyway, so I was like, hey, if you want to read this article I wrote for Afropunk, check it out. Post. But when I did the post of the link, Amanda's face was next to Niobe. So you had a picture of Amanda next to this one. And 50% of the comments were like, why is this light-skinned chick playing this dark-skinned role? Not Amanda co-wrote Niobe Shear's life, not nothing. It was just literally, it was just this neat, and obviously that's got layers of sensitivity and colorization, blah, 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 right? So you understand why there's the knee-jerk reaction. But I was like, got nothing to do with the Mandler. It was just, hey, here's my article I wrote. But just because these two images were there. So that really also is when we create and we're trying to run a business and we're trying to create storylines, the reception from the consumer is so narrow because there's all this noise going around. You right, all the various filters that they spend 3 hours on picking a fucking filter or whatever the fuck it is. Right? There's so much noise, and what they've got to wear, compete, blah 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 blah. That you've got this fucking narrow thing to thread. Otherwise, it's, hey, where's the link? You know, like, oh my god, you know. So when you post, and you're like, now you're off on a completely different tangent, like. Now I remember it's like loads and loads of comments that had nothing to do with anything about what I was.
Yeah.
Now this became a conversation.
So didn't even read the damn article.
No one read the article. No. I guarantee like 1%. Okay, so it's a case in point. Even with the Kickstarter, right? This is a great thing. So if folks ever want to do Kickstarters, the videos, like Russell Nolte is great at videos. He's in, blast it for like a minute and a half, like. Boom, super vulnerable, super honest. Shout out to Russell, super hardworking, amazing dude.
Yeah, man.
You know, when we did our video recently, it's kind of longer. It's like 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, and there's this beautiful animation. Live action clip where Niobe's fighting a cave troll that my boy Kenny did. I look at the Kickstarter views, 18% or 15% had finished the video, that had watched the video from start to finish. The percentage was so small because when we did the Ruining Christmas, it was at 2.5 minutes. And like 40% of people watched that because literally, I think people they click and go like, "Oh fuck, the whole video is 4.5 minutes. I'm not watching 4.5 minutes." There's no patience. There's no like,
none.
Let me see what this is about. And so when I posted the video of Soleil as Niobe fighting this cave troll, I was like, yo, what the fuck? This is amazing. Where can I see this? I'm like, it was in the Kickstarter video. I guess you just didn't watch the video. It was like 3 minutes in. You had the patience for the 3 minutes. Was I boring you for the first 3 minutes? But no, it's just sort of the length of time. It was like, fuck it. I'm not going to watch the whole video. And it was
wow.
That is the reality of where we're at with storytelling, right? Also, when you think of TV, nowadays TV is plot is up at the top, right? You go like first 30 minutes, okay, you know, you can really, if you guys watch a lot of TV, you can see a lot of television programming now is like how a lot of comics can be like, okay, action, the plot. So a fan can go, okay, cool. I know where I'm at now. Great. All right. Now I'm in. Whereas back in the days, it was, here's a character. I'm going to slowly reveal the plot and peel back the layers really slowly. Like, you know, 3 Days of a Condor, like Scorsese, like Spike Lee, like the old school way of storytelling, just like, I'm invested in the character. Now I am the character, you know, like Cary Grant shit. Like I am the character. I am this person. I can see the fucking what, you know, those beautiful old things of like, what would I do type shit, right? And I think that's also the knock when people read my shit, is they go, oh, it took too long. It took too long to get into it. And I'm like, oh, word, okay, you know, like that's fine. You know, it's just not for you. It's not your jam then. Niobe Shear's life starts a lot quicker, but The Untamed is it's like spaghetti western, so it's this slow burn. But hopefully the payoff is like what the fuck, and then go back and to the beginning, like, oh shit, it was there on the first page. You know, that kind of. I love that, but so that's kind of another whole thing of like attention. You know, it's the attention grabbing that a studio might understand, or certain writers might write, to understand your consumer, to say most people are just distracted and want to go, all right, give me the plot. I need the dude to kill X amount of people by page 3 to go, oh, he must be a badass. Okay, now that's the villain set, like Avengers, like, oh, Thanos beats the Hulk up. Oh, I guess he's really strong. Okay, thanks for letting me know, because I couldn't have figured it out. You know, it's just a setup, right? You go, like, you're just hitting these points to prove, like, this guy is a badass. Boom. Okay, the villain, check, got it. All these beats are so formulaic, and I kind of miss, and I think, at least for me, the way we want to, well, I enjoy telling stories is like, okay, if you've got all this noise and it's all, this is now the norm, well, I'm going to tell the story my way. So it's like, oh, I always eat fucking, you know, Lucky Charms, but every so often I want some Apple Jacks, and maybe not Apple Jacks. I want something else. I want something that was like,
I was like, Apple Jacks. You made me break a sweat. Like, Apple Jacks. So like I was like, you better say Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Sebastian. Like, everyone, Sebastian is not a human being.
I'm not into Apple Jacks. I don't know why. Honey nut, Marmite on toast. All right, I'm a tea and toast guy anyway, so that's a terrible analogy.
Wait, so I wanted to ask you, just as Sebastian, as a creator and as a writer, so how does your process work? Because some people, they will do like endless amounts of outlines. Like, I know some people have like an entire desk of like cards of things about their world. Then like, all right, I've done this, now I'm ready to write, basically. Or some people are just like, all right, I'm just gonna start doing it
Right.
and create and discover it as I go and just make this up as I go. Or are you kind of like a little bit of both?
I think I'm a bit of both. Okay, so the funny story is with Stranger Comics and Sunder is, I had written a 300-page script on Microsoft Word, and I didn't know what the flying fuck I was doing. And there's this giant thing. It was called The Lost Haven, where people from our world go to the world of the Sunders. It's pretty cool, but it was pretty terrible at the same time. And my mom, who will watch this more than likely, was like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You know, she was like, this is terrible. You know, and she was right. You know, and I'd given it to a producer, and God bless him, he actually read it, and he's like, yo, this is really unproducible, but there's a really good story here. And you're a really good storyteller. But you've got to find something, you know, how to break story down a bit better and be a bit more realistic. So so he gave me this tip, and so this is the tip to writers that are watching. So he said, and I had no clue about anything. He said, what you want to do is, you want to write, for a movie at least, 11 to 15 scenes. If you can write 4 sentences per scene for 11 to 15 scenes for your act 1, then do the same for act 2, then do the same for act 3. And so I was like, word, okay. So I just took that to heart. And then it was this moment where the Untamed came to me in some kind of epiphany moment of me rocking my kid to sleep, and I was so overtired, I was exhausted. So when you're overtired, you see things. It was like demons were dancing on the wall. I had no sleep till Brooklyn, and the whole thing was just a nightmare. And I was like, day 1, I'm a bad man. I return to town. I'll kill anybody, blah, 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 blah. I'll make a deal with the devil. Day 2, blah, 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 blah. And so I'd started to write in 10 minutes this unknowing outline. And I was like, and I took a step back. I was like, pouring all of my sin and my you know, this feeling inside down on paper. I was like, yo, this would make a good fucking movie right here, you know. And this is all set in my fantasy world. So I went remember what this dude had told me. So I was like, okay, outline, paragraph 1, outline, writing some sentences per each scene. And oh my god, I got structure now. Holy shit, what the fuck is structure? I don't know, but I guess I have it now. And then it was just so easy to. I wrote the first ever draft of The Untamed in 2004, and I wrote it in a week. It was just the whole movie was like blip, because it was all laid out for me. And what I recommend for people that write, who do that, you don't hold back. If you feel like a juicy piece of dialogue is there and something inspires you, you can also plop that in as well in a scene, right? You can be like, you know, some kind of magical moment, and you're like, oh, I can't write a piece of dialogue now because I'm only in the outline phase, and this is really boring. What I gotta get no, because that's gonna fuck you, right? So you just pepper that in. Cool. And that piece of dialogue could then maybe inspire or influence a moment in the next scene or a scene several scenes later. Now, what you do then within the world of a script or a book or a comic book or whatever, the beauty with that is now you've got these things, you can cut them out, you can put them on cards. The cool thing about it is you can be like, yo, I want to move this scene from scene 4 to scene 7 because now I can see it clearly. It's not like you're not swallowed up by the opera, right? You can pick out like the violin, you can pick out the trombone, you can pick out all the various instruments because they're all like there for you, and like, oh shit, okay, I want to bring the trombone now, right? Before it was just a bit too early, right? So you've got all that shit. Now, when I'm writing comic books, I still, with the guys, we still brainstorm like crazy. We brainstorm. Whoever's got the best idea wins, and we'll still beat out the outline, right? So I was going to be crass, but yeah, we still make through the outline, right? So you have the scenes that you can break down, and you're good. But I don't have. But I now purposely am not as 4 to 6 sentences. Because I actually then go, okay, I've got the rough outline. 1 sentence conveys, maybe 2 sentences conveys a nice piece of dialogue. Cool. Now I want to discover it in the process while I'm enjoying the process. But I've got a loose framework as opposed to a dedicated framework. And then the other thing I'll say, and Mark's right, and on YouTube, what's up, Mark? Then what I do is I have the benefit of working with Daryl and Josh. So when I write now a comic script, and so I break it into comic books, I'll write a scene out, right? So I'll go, okay, here's page 1 to page 5, or I'll write it out like how I think roughly page 1 to page 5 is, and then not panel 1, this happens, panel 2, this happens, because it's not free for me. So I'll write out a scene and then go, okay, I think it's going to be about 5 pages. I think it's going to be 3 pages, blah, blah, blah. And then I give it to Daryl, and he might fuck with it a little bit and go like, actually, I want to make this breathe more with 7 pages. And then he'll start laying it out. In the olden days, I was a lot more hands-on with that shit. But Daryl is so genius at the presentation of layout and cinematography within the framework, and he's also, we've been partners for so many years. He already kind of knows what I'll want, which is lots of widescreens for days, only break up panels when there's a cinematic need for it. When he's doing his own thing, he's a lot more freeform and a lot more fun. I think I'm just a little bit more set in my Sergio Leone fanatic kind of like widescreen, and then okay, now there's action, so we can, create movement because there's action. Now we're in a prison, so everything's now upright because I want it to feel like claustrophobic and bars and so on. And then okay, now we're open again. Now we can be free, and in the free open spaces, we can still just push in on the eyes, but have a nice wide open space, and then pull back and push back in again, and then come over the top. And always kind of remember where your cameras are. Like, okay, like I've got my master camera that can now and again go, okay, I'm drinking in the whole scene, and then I want to come in and so on. So I think coming back to your question is like it really, now where I'm at is after I brainstorm with the chaps, an overall outline is very basic, but the beats and the turning points are there, but it still gives me room to play in the process, like I do with Daryl. Like, okay, here it is, and like here's all the dialogue. I don't do the old school way of here are the scenes, go for it, Daryl. Now I write the dialogue. The dialogue is what gets my juices going. I love writing poetic shit. I can be repetitive as fuck, but I enjoy that because that can also inform the emotion of the scene, you know.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, you know, we've talked about this before about Daryl when he comes in and does a lot of the layouts and, you know, from the scripting and builds it and gives the artist like the, you know, kind of like the foundational look of how these pages and how these book is going to come out. And talk a little bit about that, because I mean, I know for myself, I've done something similar for my other artists where I've like literally given them layouts like, hey, this is kind of what I would like to see for this cover, for this or for that. And it's such a nice visual, you know, aid for somebody who's going to build on that. So, I mean, I'd love to hear more about how Daryl does his process and what you think about it and all that stuff.
Yeah, Daryl's honestly, he's a genius, like straight up, you know, and people toss that word around a lot, but he is that gifted at what he does. And when you see that, when you know you work with people that are that gifted at what they do, you just let them do. So when I give him the script, he thumbs it out, and he's very hard on himself. You know, he's like, yeah, here it is, not happy with it. Is usually you know, when he turns it in, he's 90% of the time. And like, but this pound's great. It's like, yeah, that one's okay. And it's
artists don't do that at all. Wait a minute. We don't hate our work. It's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he takes a script, breaks it down, and does really, really scratchy thumbs on, like, doesn't even matter what fucking paper it is, just super script. He prints out the script, starts breaking down what he starts to see in his head, and then with an understanding of what he'll probably know I'll want to see, and then he'll try some shit too. Like he'll be like, I know this is not what you usually like, Seb, but what do you think about this, right? So what's cool about it is it allows me and him and Josh, our editor, to kind of see it at its most raw form, and then go, okay, now let's make a few tweaks here. Oh my God, that seems fucking great. Or let's do this, but let's move the camera. You know, instead of the profile this, it should be the profile this because of this. You know, and it's like, oh, that's okay. And then we're working out in real scratchy form. And then once we're happy with that, then Daryl will then essentially make it sing and turn it over to whoever's doing, you know, the issue. And like our current issue, Sheldon's work, I think, on Niobe and Dura is so beautiful. It's like a fable. It's absolute magic. I'm so psyched for the new Niobe and Dura comic for people to see it, and also to see both Daryl and Sheldon's evolution as a tandem from Erathune to Shear's death to Niobe and Dura. It's ridiculous. It's like, you know, you just get like more and more like a well-oiled machine. But what we do with Sheldon too is we've got the blueprint for him, but we also want to give him some play area as well, because Sheldon is also genius at layouts as well, right? So you've got these two powerhouse minds, where Sheldon's going like, okay, great, I've got the blueprint, but maybe I want to, instead of when Niobe comes through this kind of this ashen forest, walking in a profile like this, Sheldon took it and then kept the frame like this, but he tilted the landscape within the frame like this, so it felt like she was falling into it a bit more. So, you know, it's allowing all these subtle adjustments that then continue to make it better and better. So then when Sheldon then turns it over to me, he turns it over his rough line art based on Daryl's rough storyboards to avoid lots of like, oh yeah, I wish you'd done it like Daryl's, or whatever the case is, or oh my God, that's better, or whatever it is, or, you know. So then we're still working on it, and then once that's locked, then it's like, okay, then he drops the inks, and then and then if there's a couple more tweaks if need be, but at that point it's rare, then he drops the colors, and it's allowed the process to be as controlled, but freedom within as much freedom within the parameters of expression. And then that also allows Sheldon to, what he's so good at is capturing the emotion of the characters within the frame and with the intention of the character. Like if we saw, some of that stuff, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like I could show, like for folks here, what I will do is do this. I'm not going to get too shared screen, but what we'll do is we'll go to some of the work here, like this is like this is Sheldon's work right now.
Wow, killer.
But it's so fable-like, and Daryl's boards are beautiful too. But see the magic here? Just that alone, the hand of the devil is swept up in the sand. And all these subtle nods too, like the tears that Niobe has coming down from the ash here, are also a subtle prelude to the face paint that she'll wear later on. So it's just tying all these loose ends, all these themes, like even that alone, right? Look at the emotion of what's happening.
Yeah.
It's,
and see that forest scene is incredible. Wow.
It's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, this comic book, it's so funny. People always say, "Hey, have you submitted to this award show?" We've never submitted, apart from once, to Denver Comic Con, which is just random. Like, because they were like, "Oh, submit." And I'm like, well, "Okay, we'll send some books off." We've never submitted anything to any kind of awards thingy. But I just feel like Niobe Endura, that comic is just crazy. And the magic of Bergting, what he created with this cover right here, just stories within stories. That's Niobe Shear's death underneath, where she was bald, and just this other kind of reflection of who we are and our duality of spirit right here. So it's crazy. There's a question Terry has on Facebook. For all three of you, when creating your stories, do you have an idea of how you would like your stories to end, or do you flow together with your team and let your creations lead you to your end destination? That's a great question. So I'll just stop sharing for a second, and that's where we're at. Holy shit, we're at 911 backers, folks.
911.
Let's make it 1,000. Let's make it 1,000 backers.
If we could hit 1,000 backers, I'll be a happy camper. And if we can hit 125, that means we'll be at 1,000% of our target goal. So folks in the chat, definitely jump on the Kickstarter while there's 12 hours to go, Dougie Fresh. Jump on that bad boy. Get those add-ons, It's crazy. A huge thank you to everyone in the chat that's backed as well. So where am I? StreamYard. Hello. There we go. So, look at that. It's got all randomly different.
There's a dope cover in the background.
So we got a sexy background in there.
It's like I'm the stranger and TJ's Niobe and David's floating in the middle.
That's right.
So yeah, it's such a great question. For all three of you, so I'll throw this over to TJ. When creating your stories, do you have an idea of how you would like your stories to end, or do you flow together with your team and let your creations lead to the end destination?
Yeah, with my very first story, Okemos, I absolutely had a beginning, middle, and end already planned out. I guess because, again, I had, when I first came up with those ideas, a lot of it was, dream state. Those ideas were coming to me. So it was like waking up, writing all that stuff down, and then doing more idea dumps. And I'm like, hey, this would be really cool as an end for the very first arc of this character. And then now other new stories are coming from that original. But I mean, I have heard there's plenty of other ways to do it. But at least for mine, I have an ultimate ending for my character, at least for the very first arc. Because, I mean, I would love to do something I don't know, image like where I could have 150, 200, 300 issues at some point
Yeah.
in time. It's so exciting to have that milestone like that. So then it's like, okay, well, how long do I stretch out this ending?
Yeah, right.
Do I make it like Berserk or what are these manga that's been around for 30, 40, 50 years or some shit? Like, those are the types of things I'm thinking about now.
How about you, David?
Yeah, I think I do outlines for, I think the first 12 issues of Harriet, Tubman, Demon Slayer. I just kind of outline them beat by beat, but then when you're writing it'll change. Like I'm like, wait, it makes sense if I introduce this earlier. and then instead of introducing this into issue 8, I should probably introduce this in issue 4. Because I've kind of like hit a mark where I'm like, oh wait, there's 15 pages. Well, shit. I guess I don't want to do a 15-page issue,
Right.
but then I'm like, yeah, I gotta introduce this idea, and then issue 8, I'll flow my way into whatever that's going to be. But yeah, I would, with this story, again, it's Harriet Tubman, and like the goal was to maybe like do like what Invincible or Walking Dead and do like 200 issues. So I'm like, okay, we still haven't met Abraham Lincoln yet in this world, and we haven't had the Civil War happen. And like, there's just unlimited things to do with like, or even like having Dracula show up and stuff, and like, still touching on like, we're in Harriet Tubman as far as her biography. We're in like year 4 of it, and there's still so many things that are going to happen. But yeah, I don't like.
And you can have also, you can play with flashbacks to when she was super young, and you can play with all sorts of. I mean, you can play with time. You don't have to be linear with it. You can go lateral. You can go backwards. I mean, there's so much stuff. You can have the whole half an issue being about somebody else within the same area, or there's so much to do. Yeah,
like I think issue 5. The beginning of issue 5 is a flashback with her and her husband, and her telling her husband that, like, hey, and she's going to confess that she has superhuman strength and can do all these things. She doesn't know why yet. She just knows she can do it. And she's just like, I'm different. And he's like, I know you're different. That's why I love you, and stuff like that. He's like, you snore in your sleep, but I still love you and stuff. And she's like, no, I'm different. Then like, then like tries to take him back to the forest, and she's gonna show him what she can do. And he's like, oh, he thinks it's like sex or something like that. So he's like, oh shit, all right, I'm into it. All right, never done this in public before, girl.
Then
then he's like, he starts flipping around and all this other stuff, and he's like, what? And like she punches like a giant tree, and it falls down and stuff. She does it effortlessly. And for me, that's the plan, is because I got mad when that editor was like, this book is too much fun, has too much action. How are we going to flesh out and see these characters? I'm like, it's the first issue. We have so much time to spend with these people and get to know them.
That's what I would say is, like, when I think of what you have, when you have the 200 issue concept, is Mark Francis, but the first mutant. That's awesome. I think you take all the time you need, bro. Like you can have the rough idea of what the ending is, but I'm always like same with Niobe, right? I go, okay, there's 4 Niobe. She is she's life, she's death, she's spirit, she's God. Great. And I was like, when you come out with the next Niobe, she's spirit. I'm like, well, currently I'm working on this comic called First Kill, which is the first time Niobe killed someone. That's got nothing to do with the She Is series. And it starts off where she's older and she's about to kill this dude after this big war, right? She's all savage and shit, cool as shit, and she's just decimated this army. And this dude is looking up, begging for mercy, and she's not going to give it to him. And he's like, when did killing get so easy for you? You know, you meant to be like on the side of on your male goddess of life. And so they're both battling on behalf of the goddess of life in their own way, philosophically, right? And so he's questioning her, like, right? So it gives us the opportunity to go like, when was the first time Niobe killed someone?
Yeah.
Psychologically, how would that have affected her? At what age did she do it, etc., etc.? And so she pushes back to him, and she's like, yo, you can't just go ahead and rape, kill, pillage my people and then be like, okay, I've got my swords down, I've surrendered, now we've got the peace treaty thing going on, like, what's your consequence, right? And he's like, yeah, okay, fine, but then you're going to murder from. So there is this philosophy, you know, like this cool kind of debate thing. So then we flash back to when she's younger and she's with the stranger, and it's after the Untamed, and the stranger's just like, you know, people see her and there's a bounty on her, so he just offs them, and she's like, you can't go around just murdering people because we have a bounty. And he's like, oh, you know, he's like, whatever's going to stop me from getting to my family is fair game. I don't care, and you're too important. And so you're able to have these ideas. And she's like, yeah, but blah blah blah. She's admonishing him. So we'll get to this point where the obvious thing is she's got to kill someone to save a stranger, and that was going to be originally talking about what we were talking about earlier. Is like, when do you shift, right, in storyline? And I was like, that's so obvious. Like, oh shit, she's going to have to kill someone to save stranger. But instead, what happens is she comes across someone who is about to, for lack of a better term, about to become some bad news demon dude, whatever, something, right? Without giving too much away. And she has to kill him in order to save him. So then it kind of informs, then we flash forward to that scene again. So that's kind of the overall arc of this just one issue. I was like, I want to tell a series of stories within, like the old detective comics. I'm like, I want to just tell lots of one-shot, two-shot type stories where allows us to continue to build out the world. Why am I in a hurry to get to she is God when she's, you know, I can tease what that's going to become, right? So, but I don't have to be in a hurry to get there. I can enjoy this process. And even if I do get to the she is God status and she's all, you know, Cleopatra out like a cosmic Silver Surfer type being on the throne, like people haven't a fucking clue what's coming. It's unlike what anyone could imagine, which is shout out to Daryl and the team as well for just brainstorming, creating. So you're allowed the opportunity to take people on adventures that you just don't expect. And then and the other thing too, I think of like Clint Eastwood when he directed Unforgiven. He had that script for 10 years, and he waited to be 10 years older before he made that movie. And because he wanted to be that age, he wanted to go through that shit. So I think too, as we are creators going through our own journey, we don't have to be in a hurry to tell stories that might not be ready within us to tell. You know, we can be patient. We can grow and evolve as people that will help give us depth and weight to be able to tell certain stories that we want to tell as well. You know, that's how the Untamed storyline. There's no way I could have written that. You know, when I was younger, there's just no way. I hadn't been through enough shit. You know, because I got some age on you folks. You know. It's crazy. It's crazy to think, man. But it's crazy to think like I wrote that first script submitted it to copyright when 2004.
Wow.
And do you think, Sebastian, there's something that another writer said about him being a parent and his stories? He tells his stories kind of come from a place of fear of like being a parent, that kind of like when you become a parent, like it takes on, like your life takes on a whole nother thing as far as like taking care of someone and looking out for someone.
Yeah, that's what Yeah, 100%. That's why we started Stranger Comics, man, is because people you can tell didn't, I think too inherently with, Black comics, for just to shorten it, is to say, if you are not, unless you're working with a publisher or an editor that gives freedom to create the stories that you want to tell, there's an inherent like surface reality of people go, oh, it's like that editor you were talking about, David, like, oh, it's this, it therefore has to be that. So you want to, you do look at this as your kid, like you have to protect the integrity, their journey, their evolution, who they are as people, and the story and the emotional depth and weight, whether it's pulp, whether it's melodramatic, whatever that is, it's up to you to protect that integrity, to protect. And I think too, as a parent as well, like you do bear the weight of responsibility, whether you fuck with a publisher or not, or you're self-published or you own a company or whatever the case may be. Once it leaves your hands and it goes into the public, you're like, do people like them? Did I do a good job of raising them? Am I still doing a good job? Like, and then like, oh, that fucking comic I read, that shit sucked. Oh, he's trying too hard. Oh, it's not this enough. It's not that enough. It's not, like the editor again. It's too fun. Like, oh shit, and then also the general public is there to comment on your child, right? To comment on it, to tear it down, to pick it apart, to whatever the case may be. So you have to have, your kid has to fucking be like, fuck you, motherfucker. I don't even fucking care. Like, I'm good, right? I'm good. Because now and again it can cut you, but you still get up again. Like you teach your kid, like if you get beaten up at school, you just have to get up the following day. You have to get up. So get the fuck up, and that's how it is, I think, with our creations. Like, no one's going to like it. People are going to tear it down, but you feel proud of the job. You did the best job you could as a parent. So as long as I think we as creators know that we've done the best job that we can do before they leave the nest, then it doesn't really matter. But and also to that note as well, though, and TJ, I know it's getting late. I don't want to keep you up too late, bro. Is an idea. A teacher told me this years ago, and I use it when I'm teaching too. Is I'm like, an idea is like a child, right? So a child, when they're young, right, they go like, Mom, hey, Mom, look at me. Mom, can you see how I'm doing this now? Dad, look at this. Hey, I just drew this picture. Look. Hey, look at this. Like, all right, okay. Like, no, look. Okay, but I'm trying to watch the game. But look, it's the same with an idea. Hey, Seb. I'm like, I'm just trying to watch the fucking Raiders game. No, you got this idea. You got to get it. You got to look at me. You got to look at me, because otherwise someone else is going to fucking raise me. Someone else is going to take me away. Someone's going to adopt me. Someone's going to do whatever the fuck. Someone's going to ruin me. Someone's going to tell this idea in a ruined, fucked up way. Might be their way, but it's, but hey, I'm here. Look at me. I think an idea is that child. Promiscuous Tantra is like, ideas are cheap. To me, they are the most expensive. They're pretty expensive. They're everything. But ideas, what I think, though, to Promiscuous, to Kyle's note, is so many people have so many fucking ideas. There's so many ideas that come and go and come and go and come and go. It's just then the sitting down, like with a kid, to go, okay, so let me take my time with you. Okay, all right, you don't understand this equation. Okay, the 1 + 1 of it all. Okay, let me take my time with you. You don't understand the alphabet. You don't understand this. Let me take my time with you. Because an idea is that. If you hurry that shit, that's why, we're boutique as fuck, and we've been around a minute, and there's lots of companies with more staff, yada, yada, yada. We don't come out with a lot of shit. But what I will say is, I'm very proud of the work that we do. I don't think people can pick it up and go like, well, this is just some shit. In anything we do, right? They might not like it, but they can't say it's crap, right? So yeah, promiscuous, yeah, for clarifying, yeah, and lots of people have lots and lots of ideas. Ideas come and go, they come and go. And in that regard, absolutely. But I think people don't they don't understand the value when something comes along, if you feel like it has value, because not all ideas are, let's say, great, right? Some are cheap. If you feel like
quickly say inspired thought, I'm just gonna add, yeah. If it's an inspired thought, then like you feel there's some meat on the bone there. That like, you know, if you do not pay attention to this idea, it floats out into the universe and other people can grab it. So it's like you have it, you really got to act on it.
And then too, like then you'll see other motherfuckers like raise their kids in exactly the same way. You're like, oh, what the fuck, you know, like you know, I've seen a few, you know, inspired things from the stuff that we've done, and that can also make you nervous. Like, well, then what about my kid, right? And especially when you play in the space of, let's say, Black comics, right? So, okay, you can look at Netflix and go like, oh, you know, there's tons of fantasy shows, tons of them, right? The Curse, the book thing, the letter, whatever, like tons of fantasy shows. When I think it comes to something that's inherently Black, it's like, oh shit, we already have one of those. Wait, so it's okay to have multiple shows that have, you know, a European look, feel, cast, whatever, but as soon as it's singularly Black, it's like, we have one. But why? So then surely if people like it, like how the thing was, like in comic books, if you like Captain America, you will like Thor, you will like the Hulk, you will like Daredevil, you like Silver Surfer, even though he's a cosmic motherfucker, it's got nothing to do with Daredevil, he's on the streets. But if you like this, if you like the genre thereof and the medium it's presented, then chances are you'll like it. So I think too, that fear of that kid, that idea, that thought, is then even more the fear of someone else going like, oh shit, is somebody else, you know, someone else doing a Black fantasy show? Oh shit. Is therefore Niobe never going to get made if one gets made? Because knowing how certain mindsets are, you know,
it's a real thing, man.
Yeah. Seriously, it's true. I won't name names, but there was interest from a company that was interested in Harriet, Tubman, Demon Slayer, and they thought, oh, this might make a good TV or something. And I was like, cool, awesome, please. And then I think it was announced that Joss Whedon was going to do a Buffy reboot, but make it a Black woman. And they were like, hey, listen, man, we're gonna have to pass because, you know, Joss Whedon, big name, is gonna be doing a Black Buffy reboot, and yeah, there can't be two to compete.
And
I was like, what?
That's the thing that kills me, because it's literally like, it's actually therefore a good thing if you have to, because if Joss Whedon's doing Black Buffy or whatever it is, and people love it, and they're like, oh great, I like chicks fighting vampires. Great, I like that genre. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not pie, but the reality check is that's how it kind of is presented. You know, like even if it wasn't Black, like, oh, it's a fantasy, oh, it's a vampire, oh, it's this. If you just add that extra element of Black or female or something, or even if it was he was rebooting Buffy, oh, we already have a vampire thing. But you've got, because yours is Black, it's like, oh, I don't have any problem with it. But if
meanwhile,
it's
I was going to say, meanwhile they've got two Zeus movies, you know, with Hercules and Thunder. It's like, I don't know which one's different, but like, go right ahead.
It's the same with like Westerns, right? Like when Westerns came out, like gabillions of Westerns, like it's the same kind of reality. Like, oh, if you like, it's like how Netflix and these shows are made, it's built on, it's like, if you like this, it's like when we go to watch it, suggested viewing. It's literally there for you to experience. Suggested viewing. If you like this, therefore you will like this. But you know what they will do lots of? Black crime, right? That's like, oh shit, yeah. That's what we're cool with. Like all the
or the
crime
slave
shows.
movies, they love that shit.
Right?
Oh yeah.
It's just
Like-
we can have as many sound likes as that as possible. But as
Yeah.
soon as it's out of that realm, it's well, we already have one of those. Well, what the fuck? It literally is so counter to it. It's also like outside of it just being obviously morally ridiculous. It's so not smart business. It's like, do you not? It's like a throwback to like when you know like, oh, we already have one back there. Like, well, surely it's fucking working. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're a smart businessman, it therefore works, right? If you whether you're racist or not, right? You're some racist cunt or whatever. Surely you have the intellect to go, this is working here. Let me do another one. But what happens is it's kind of like the old music business too. It's like you go, oh, we've got like when In Vogue came out, right? In Vogue came out, and suddenly you had a lot of 4-girl R&B groups. It's like, oh shit, this is hot right now. Okay, sound like let's quickly. We need to get some more of these, right? So maybe that will be a thing. Like, oh, if there's success, Black Panther came out. Suddenly, lots of properties were being optioned. Whether they're made or not is a different story. But oh shit, how do I capitalize on this? Or is this a fad? Is this a well? I mean, I can tell you, like I heard one person say, you don't know how long this black thing is going to last, Sebastian. Like, you better hurry up and sign this deal because there's a deal offer. And you're like, word?
Yeah. How long is this black? How long is this black thing isn't going to live?
For real. Shout out to those guys. Much love and respect for that honesty. I was like, but if that is how one person thinks in a certain
There's many people that think like that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, and you kind of know it though, too. You kind of know that's the expectation. It's that. So coming back to what we do, and David in the YouTube chat, so it sounds like you need your own film studio. Like, I have a buddy of mine who's just like makes independent movies, obsessed with the shit. To go like, Seb, let's do our own distribution. Let's do this. It's because of things like that. It is. To Mark Francis, the hypocrisy of that black character at the forefront of major comics now. So Mark and people in the chat, they don't even realize. Not a lot of people realize. So Niobe Shear's life, and I say this, we didn't make this shit because we wanted to make history. We made it because it was just a story we wanted to tell. And also, I wanted to work with a young black female to help tell the story, and have a black female artist do it. So, for folks that don't know in the chat, this is the first nationally distributed comic book with a black female author, artist, and hero in the history of entertainment. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to all the other independent black women before Niobe that hadn't been nationally distributed, right? Like, this is the first nationally distributed. That just goes to show, like, suddenly, yes, to Mark's note, like on the YouTube chat, like suddenly I know my artists, people are trying to poach her, like big studio, like big comic companies. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, now this is happening. Now all these other comics were coming out. Like, okay, bet, the what's up, Deja? Happy birthday for the other day, my love. So that's the reality of the landscape of comics. It's like the sound likes, like the Invoke, like, oh, we've got to have more of that shit. So suddenly I'm looking at all these comic books now, rising tide raises all ships, and it's cool as shit to see a lot of comics, come up. But where the danger zone lies is don't hurry it. Mm-hmm. You can hurry it. Don't hurry it, right? Don't be in such a hurry to get the shit out because you smell like the dollar signs from Hollywood or whatever the case may be, because if you hurry the reality of your creation, then it doesn't have the weight and resonance that it might need to have. And then I think it can lend itself to, without saying I'm on my high horse and be all preachy, some fucking mansplaining douchebag. But I do think then it's like, oh shit, some more shit's coming out. And you read it and you go like, I wish that person might have taken a bit of a beat, because then the executive type person were like, yeah, it doesn't really compare with it doesn't compare with so and so. Well, honor the craft of what you're doing, right? Honor the craft of what you're doing, because these corporate motherfuckers will literally go like, oh, cool, bet I'm gonna gobble all this shit up, and go like, it's that black thing. And if the craft hasn't been honored, and it doesn't have the weight or the experience or whatever the case may be of the creation that you're putting forward, then you're not honoring the opportunity either, right? So you've got the Black Panther movie, paved a lot of fucking cool, did some amazing things for folks, right? It made the spotlight go bling, like, oh, okay, this will make money. Cool. Honor your craft. Honor the media. Honor the integrity of the story that you're fucking telling. So if it doesn't become a show, and let's be honest, like, there's only so much bandwidth on networks and TV and cable, whatever the fuck it is. My whole thing is too, like, a lot of people come and they're like, yo, I want to get doing the comics so I can get into a TV show. I always say this, it's like, when most people come to your comic book, they see it for the first time, like David and TJ, you're like, this is you, right? You go, this is my shit. Oh my God. They go, oh my God, this is great. I can resonate with it, blah, blah, blah. You can do all this kind of stuff. Thank you very much, Kev. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is the first time they're seeing it. Now imagine you get picked up, right? You get options, it gets to be on a show, and it's just whack as shit. I'm like, God damn it. Now the world has been introduced to your show, to your IP, to your creation through something whack as shit, right? And next time they see you at a convention, or they see it in a comic shop, they'll go, oh, I saw that. That's that whack shit. And they'll just keep moving. So if you're in a hurry to put out your stuff as a creator without nurturing the IP, you might be doing yourself a disservice, because the long-term play is like, if Niobe never gets on air, I'd be very, very sad, but not from a status standpoint. I don't really fuck about that. I would like people to be able to experience her journey. That to me is in The Stranger's Journey, and a TV show or a movie or whatever the case may be gives more people the opportunity to experience it. That's the real gift, right?
Amen.
And sure, more financial realities take care of my family and my staff and their family and so on. Of course, absolutely. But it's not why we created this shit.
Yeah, I was going to definitely add to that by just saying, a lot of people forget that Spider-Man and all these other big characters that, are popping with movies and games and TV and stuff, like, there's still 40 or 50 years of content that they've had sitting on a shelf. So it's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's easy for them to spit it out because they've got stories for days they can pull from. And I find a lot of the new DC movies, the DC animated features, so interesting because they're just pulling from really, really great stories from great artists in there, and the art is being influenced by the artists who drew the book, or the creative team. So it's like, yeah, pace yourself, take your time, and think about the integrity of the IP, integrity of the creations, and really like, hey, I want to be around for a long time. And how do you do that? You build the content. It just takes time when you're writing it. You're not doing it full time just yet. You got to give it the energy it deserves.
I mean, look at this. I mean, this is, I feel very proud of what we've accomplished. This is, there's one more of them, but here's 5 of the 6 this has taken us, 6 beautiful hardcovers, but it's taken us, we started Stranger Comics in 2008, and we came out with the first issue in 2009. And we really took our time with all of these books. We took real care. Once it leaves once it leaves and goes to the printer, you finally go, okay, it's off and it's away. And then you go to a convention and someone sees it for the first time and goes, oh my God, this is beautiful. I mean, I think, thank you, Deja. Thank you. I think it's that whole thing for me was like, when I built, my whole goal with Stranger Comics was to be, I was obsessed with Blue Note Records and how they presented their album covers. The most beautiful jazz album covers. If you saw it, you're like, that's a Blue Note. My whole goal with Stranger Comics was like, I wanted people to be like, whether we're doing kids books, whether we're doing comic books or hardcovers or whatever, they go, that's a Stranger Comics book. I can tell by the quality of the presentation. And then also Taschen, the way Taschen presents their books, that's Taschen. And then HBO back in the days with The Wire and Deadwood and Sopranos, these amazing Rome, these amazing shows, you always knew again the highest level of quality. So for me, it was like, okay, if I can present this presentation where people would like to put this on their coffee table, like, and feel good about it, like, feel proud about it, like, and especially with Black content, especially and within fantasy, just in a way that's just not been presented, like, oh, this sits right here on my, I feel this is my shit right here, and you can't fuck with it. And there's no shortcuts within it. There's no shortcuts. And that is so if, that's the thing I think with what we've managed to do is the most, I'm probably the most excited about, or most proud about is, but the time it took to get there, now there's a library. And how many and I've had lots of offers since we started. Lots of offers. But then back in 2009, I was asked to make Niobe a white boy, or 2008 or whatever.
What?
It's just, it's just
thank God they were wrong.
but like but also Dusu. And Dusu is hilarious because Dusu is a man out of place, like Last of the Mohicans. But you're like, you've already done that, dude. That's called Tarzan, and that's not necessarily too, like, right. Have we learned that it's not the right move? But they just don't get it. They don't get it. And like when you really think about it too, it's like, with the landscape of Hollywood too, it's like, okay, feel like you're inching there. Like I just saw Foundation, the trailer for it. It's like, okay, there's now somebody's getting it. Like, okay, you got a black lead, and it looks like that there might be, I don't know, some of the other characters look, like what is representing the movement of now. Like, okay, awesome. I'm just waiting for someone to do the, hey, we're going to do King Arthur, but as a black girl, like, and they go, sorry, Seb, we already have a black girl fantasy.
Oh, God.
Wow. We're going to respond to Mark Francis. Mark, what's up, man? He says Joystick Angels needs to be an anime. Yes, I'm working on it, man. It was built for that purpose. It was really something. I mean, I'm such a huge anime fan, and can tell by my wall posters from like 1994. Yes, we're working on it, man. I absolutely will have that very, very soon. And he's waiting on his copies of issue 1. Yes, you and quite a few other people. We are shipping this week. I'm printing labels as we speak. I'm sitting at my desk, working late, talking to my buddies, and printing labels. So very, very soon.
It's so funny. I just popped over to the Kickstarter and, my boy Haram. My boy Haram, who I love dearly, who actually did this particular cover of me. He just canceled his pledge. Haram is the chap that did this.
Oh, amazing.
So apparently I do this a lot on my Thursday lives. So he did this, and now we actually sell these comic books on the website. So we only have a few. We only have a few of these left. I printed 50 of them, and I'm splitting the dough with it. But I'm sure he'll probably back something else instead. But yeah, no, Kickstarter is crazy. It's that thing, right? The last few hours, and people like adding, canceling. So for folks that are in the chat, Mark, David, Deja, what's up, Fayon, Dennis? Fayon, if you want, bro, I'm going to show you guys in the chat. While we've got some of you guys on, this is where we're at with the Kickstarter. Just going to show it to you. And again, and Fayon, if you want, bro, hello. We have a pledge, a reward level for retailers. So for retailers and folks that want to get multiple thingies, you can go all the way down, and we have a retail bundle set, guys. Which is, there's a $300 one. That's the level 3 one right there. So for retailers who want all the cool new Niobe Endura, the Niobe Endura comics, this is there are 3 retailer levels. I think there's one for 150 and one for 100. So you guys in the chat, if you guys want to get multiple thingies, there you go. Retail bundle number 1, you can get that. Level 1, $100. Gets you 10 comics, including, this is one of the opportunities to get this. So definitely jump on this, guys, while the Kickstarter is up and running. The beautiful thing too is we have free versions of hair braiding. So that's something else too that gives you the opportunity, like when you're creating your own company and your own comic book and your own comic book series, is literally you can kind of do what you want to do, right? So what I'll do is, again, I'll remind you guys, you can get the hip hop variant sets. These are on right now. But the one thing that we had is, where is it? Here we go. Is this? I want to just do this real swift. I've not let's see if I've got a different thingy. There we go. Look, so we've got, here is this cover right here is an art print. And it was really important for me because Dura is the creator of the world of Asunder. So Dura is the creator of the world of Asunder, and she so like to honor Black women who bear the weight of the world on their shoulders. She is the creator, and she is passing down her culture and tradition to Niobe, who will then become the person that bears the weight of the world on her shoulders, right? So it's very much a reflection of our world's reality, and in doing so and showing something so beautiful and honest and pure, right? And then I didn't just want to do one cover of it. Here is another cover of it in a different kind of pose. So different artists' interpretations of the same moment.
Beautiful.
Love it.
And not just one, but then we do a third one here. And we had this ready in time for fall, the first day of fall. So you got all the leaves. This is right. This is also a scene from inside the book. So there's a lot of careful planning here to be like, okay, we're going to drop this. We're going to show this off too around the first day of fall. And this is a scene inside the book as well. So you've got 3 different opportunities to show something. And so Mark, yeah, if you got this in the first night, thank you, bro. Thank you. And we got all the add-ons now too. So any of these stuff you want, we have metals, we have foil editions. But that was super, super important to, a lot of times too, you can do this when you have your own, do your own shit. It's just like most comic covers are like, okay, I want to go with action, lots of action. And I want to be like, okay, we can have a couple of those, but I wanted this. And not just one, I wanted 3 of them, because it just felt like, I felt like for something I necessarily wouldn't be able to relate to, but I think I understand the concept of human spirit a little bit, is I wanted a sister or a brother to be like, especially just to be like, that's me. And my grandmother did that for me. My mother did that, and all these various things. So it has that. the world is inherently to honor that, but the world is invited to also share and empathize as much as possible with these beautiful cultural moments, which I think is the beauty of what we have, is the ceremony of culture, and how do you honor that in art? So yeah, God, I sound so fucking preachy, but it's just real, it's just.
No, man, you're just speaking from your experience and just sharing your journey. So it is not preachy at all. It is wonderful knowledge. And Mark Francis is cracking me up with his "I'll be broke, but I'll have great coverage."
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
So true, man. Wow.
But you gotta have this art in my house. but there needs to be food to eat. And like, I don't give a damn. I want to see black women braided hair. Shit.
And what's kind of cool is Dura being the creator of the world. At some point, when we see a Niobe really ascend and grow and so on, there'll be moments that will tie him back to those scenes that we'll see. We might see Niobe braid some other, et cetera, et cetera. So, with planting, what I'm looking forward to though? I'm looking forward to, and it sounds really, I know, not petty, but like, to me, I can't wait to see the people that I know bite me do exactly the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see that. So shout out to all the people that might be watching this, and all the people I see that have bit, like, I can't wait for people to see, like, and also bigger companies with much bigger followings. I love seeing that, like, and people go, "Oh my God, it's so great! I love that." And you're like, "I can't exactly where you got that from," but
yeah, I've got some stories on that one, Seb, for a whole nother day. Absolutely.
It's like, why is Wonder Woman braiding Batgirl's hair? What is going on? Like, this is beautiful. Like, the way the Black Wonder Woman was braiding Black Batgirl's hair. This has never been done before.
Bless. Good Lord.
Story ideas. Man, I got to jump, y'all. I apologize, man. I'd love to stay on longer with you guys. This has been amazing, as always, and just a lot of fun. And, if anybody who's listening, buy, subscribe. Click the link in the Kickstarter. Give this dude some more donations, man. Get some more stuff. You see, this is some of the absolute best offerings from Stranger Comics ever. See all this art? It's incredible. I mean, just the laundry list goes on. Just support these guys if you haven't. Tell more people about it. We've only got, 11 hours? 11 hours to go.
Hours.
Yeah. 11 hours to go. This is incredible. But yeah, gentlemen, I will be seeing you. David, make sure this guy's got something in his fridge that you can throw a party, because we need to invite some people over. He's got the guest house. Okay. I got to ask you about the guest house if somebody ended up renting that again.
Yes,
we got to talk.
We got to talk. We got to talk. Yeah, perfect.
All right,
awesome,
y'all.
Guys. Thank you, guys. Everyone in the chat to rock with us this late. Go and get you some add-ons. Go and get you some stuff. And thank you so much, TJ and David, for hanging out. On a Sunday. Appreciate it.
Likewise. Anytime, guys.
Thank you for having us, and congratulations, man.
Yeah, congrats, man. It's absolutely incredible. This campaign it's mind blowing, and it's incredibly inspiring too. I mean, guys, if you're really in the weeds with your creations, if you're really doing it for the right reasons, this is how it looks. Big bro over here, Seb over here, man. Watch this guy.
Thanks, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Everyone have a wonderful night. And David, I have some cold pizza I'll heat up. All right.
Yay!
Cold pizza and Apple Jacks.
No Apple Jacks. Damn it.
So random. All right. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Cheerio.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.